Hey there, and welcome to our virtual live Lunch and Learn, Kick COVID to the Curb. We are coming to you live from Full Circle Studios in Addison, Texas. I'm Lisa Williams with Vendy Digital, and I have with me Paul Slack. He is the CEO and founder of Vendy. Welcome, Paul.
Well, thanks, Lisa. And hey, welcome to joining us on this virtual Lunch and Learn. You know, we've been doing Lunch and Learns for years and actually 20 years we've been doing Lunch and Learns. And this is our very first virtual Learn. So we're excited that you're here. I think we've got a lot of good information we're going to share with you today on things you can be doing right now to generate qualified leads in the middle of a pandemic so we can kick COVID to the curb, right? Now, before we get too far into it, we do have a few housekeeping items we want to share with you. Lisa, you want to walk them through that real quick?
So we do have a live chat going on, and if you have questions, you want to make sure and drop those in the chat. We are going to go to that chat at the end of this and do a live Q&A. So you want to make sure that you stay tuned for that if you have questions that you want answered. Also, we have 3 bonus resources that we are going to give to you just for attending this event. And that link will also be in the chat at the end of this event as well.
These are resources that we use day in and day out to run our agency. They're resources that we use to generate leads for our clients. And so stay to the very end for those links. Also, just ask your questions as we go through it via chat. But to be good stewards of everybody's time, we're going to wait till the very end to answer those questions because we know some people need to get in and get out. So just chat your questions as we go through this, and then we'll answer them at the very end. So everybody fasten your seatbelt because here we go. We're going to actually learn how we can go and kick COVID to the curb and what are those things that we can be doing right now because we know, man, the world's different out there. It's a difficult, challenging time to generate leads. We've been talking to marketing leaders, and what have we learned?
Right, Paul. I mean, we've interviewed and talked to multiple people in different industries throughout the entire country. And what we're hearing is budgets are really, really low or non-existent. Resources are very non-existent.
People's jobs are on the line. I mean, it's tough out there.
It's tough. It's tough. And so if there's some things that we could help you today generate leads and get your business going, you know, we want to share those with you.
Yeah, and we're going to get 3 things that are working right now. We're doing them for our business. We're also doing them for our clients. They are working and generating qualified leads. So we're excited to share those with you. But before we get too far in, let's all just take a moment and just acknowledge that COVID sucks.
It does, Paul.
Oh my gosh.
We created an entire marketing campaign around 2020. We had t-shirts made, Keep It 2020.
Yeah.
It's our 20th anniversary. We thought we would just use these numbers of 2020 and create a whole entire campaign around that. And then
COVID happened, right? So we can all just acknowledge that the world is different. Things that we used to do in the past, things that worked in 2019, things that we thought as we were planning for 2020 would work in 2020 are just not working. I mean, hello, no trade shows, no live events, none of that stuff is working for us anymore. It's hard to get appointments. It's hard to do all of those things. Let's just acknowledge that and then figure out how can we not let the pandemic control us, but what are the things we can do to get our marketing back on track and make 2020 still a really good year for our businesses.
What are we going to do with these t-shirts that we created, Paul?
I don't know. If anybody wants a t-shirt, we got like 150 of them. Just let us know. Maybe chat that in. We'll get you a Keeping It 2020 t-shirt. But let's go ahead and jump into the first tip. And the first tip in generating more leads right now during a pandemic is probably the simplest tip. And it's also the most cost-effective tip, right?
Because it's free.
Yeah, these tips right here, tip number 1 isn't going to cost you anything. And that's simply how do you convert more leads from your existing traffic? That's right. You're getting traffic today, but you're probably not getting as many leads as you could. And the reason for that is, we all go and build these beautiful websites. We spend a lot of money building these websites. It's kind of the, if you build it, they will come. We think we can get this beautiful website out there and all of a sudden leads are just going to be, coming over the transom. And that's really not the case. And the reason for that is a couple. One, we have bad messaging. We have word bloat. We just use way too many words to describe what we do. We have what we call the curse of knowledge, meaning, we know too much and it's hard to kind of get that message down to where it's very easy to understand. And then the other big issue is we want to be the hero of our story, right? We want to be Superman and talk about how we can, be the hero for our customer. The reality is our customers are trying to be the heroes for their business, and we need to talk about how our website and our business is designed to help them accomplish their goals. And so one of the things you need to be thinking about as you think about getting more of your traffic to convert is this.
Does your website pass the caveman test? You remember the old Geico caveman?
Right.
So we want to make sure that our websites are talking in about a 5th grade level.
Right.
We want to keep it simple, and we want to speak to the pain points of the customer. And like Paul said, we want to make sure that we are the guide and they are the hero.
Right. Remember that curse of knowledge. So one of the things that we want you to do after the webcast today is go look at your website and ask yourself the question, would it pass the caveman test? If somebody came to your website, they didn't know anything about you, and they looked at your website, if maybe it's not the caveman, maybe it's a 5th grader test, right? Because you talked about that. Could they understand what you do? And if they don't, then that's an opportunity for you to get your messaging right and convert more of that traffic into leads for your business.
So let's look at an example of somebody that we helped, one of our own customers, and how we just changed a few things on their website. So the first thing is we want to make sure that you're always obviously reading left to right. And so we want to make sure at the top right corner that you have a call to action button. It's going to stand out. It's going to be in a different color. That is your cash register. Cha-ching! So you want to make sure that you have a call to action button in the top right corner.
Yeah, if you want to do one thing today that will change and generate more leads for your business, go look at your website, make sure you've got that call to action, make it an active call to action, not something like contact us or learn more, but a very active call to action in the top right of your website, and I promise you, you'll get more leads for your business. But there's 3 other things you need to be doing on that header area, the part that you see before you scroll down on the browser of your website. There's 3 questions you need to be answering. The first one is, what do you do? Again, in caveman 5th grader language, right? What do you do? And in this example, they're leaders in online safety training. I think a caveman would understand that.
Right.
The second question is, what's in it for me, right? How's this going to benefit me? And simplified safety training that drives results. That's the benefit statement. And then question number 3 is really just a restatement of the call to action, and it's how do I take the next step? When people come to your website, they need to understand the answers to these 3 questions, and then you've got to lead them in the direction to help them get their problem solved. Now, if you'll do these things, you'll get some pretty good results.
Right. And so what happened after we did this with our client?
Yeah, let's take a look at it. Pretty excited about this. So this is a client that we had the opportunity to work with and make the changes that we just described. And over the course of a year, you can see the results right here, that we had amazing growth in their conversion rates. Now, this is just the results from the conversions on their homepage, not the conversions for everything else that we were doing, but by just simply making these changes to their homepage, their conversion rates or their conversions grew by 35%, and they got over 800 more leads. I mean, who couldn't use an extra 70 leads a month right now, right?
And Paul, let's reiterate, this was just from making those changes on their
Absolutely.
website.
Just by cleaning up the messaging above the fold on your website, getting that active call to action, adding the cash register, you'll get more leads even during COVID, right?
Right.
So let's talk about lead magnets. So, getting the messaging right is important, but there's other things you can do to convert more traffic that's coming to your website today.
Right. So lead magnets are going to create reciprocity. They're going to want to make your customer, your client, loyal to you. You're giving information, and they're going to want to stick with you.
Right.
It establishes you as the guide. So we talked about not being the hero, but being the guide. So you're guiding your customer along the buyer journey, and it helps them along that decision-making process. And also, it generates opt-in leads. So by you giving them a lead magnet, they're giving you their email address.
And I can't tell you how many B2B businesses that we look at that are wanting to generate more leads right now in the middle of COVID, and we go and see what kind of conversion opportunities there are, and there's nothing like a lead magnet on their website. They just have that contact us button,
Right.
which is not going to generate any leads at all. So let's take a look at a case study here real quick. So this is one of our clients. We had an opportunity to work with them. We analyzed their website like we just described, and we saw, you know what, there's nothing on their website other than a contact us button. So what can we do to create an opportunity for somebody to opt in, in this mid-funnel area? And we found this great resource that they had. They just didn't make it available on their website. So we put it on their website in the middle of COVID, and here's what happened. We generated over, and this was the first month, we grew their conversions by over 100% and generated 30 additional leads in the first month.
This is in March, right?
Right. This was in March. So March to April, an additional 30 leads, and we could all use an extra 30 leads right now for sure. So that's an example of a real life client that we're working with right now in COVID, but we wanted to give you a longer term example too, so you could see the impact that having a mid-funnel or a lead magnet on your website can really, how it can benefit you. And one of the first things we want to encourage you to do is just go look for assets that you may already have produced that you can repurpose. And in this particular case, when we started working with the client, they had just finished having a live webinar, right? And they had the live webinar. I can't remember if it was Zoom or GoToWebinar or whatever. The event was a good success, and they put the video on the shelf. It wasn't even available on their website. And we said, you know what? Let's take that replay, put it on your website. Let's gate it with a form, and let's promote it to your audience by putting calls to action on your website to watch the on-demand video and take a look at the results. I mean, you can see right here at the top where that spike is. That's obviously the month that they ran the live event. So they had a good turnout. I think 100 or so people showed up. But you'll notice the rest of this graph shows all the leads we were able to generate throughout the rest of the year. In fact, by just simply taking this webinar and putting it on their website, we generated over 750 additional leads across that year.
And Paul, I'm a big believer in repurposing and pre-purposing content.
Absolutely.
They didn't do anything extra. We didn't spend any additional money. We just gated that and put it on their website. So they already had it produced. And from May till the end of the year, they created another 750 leads from not spending any more.
Right, just a form
money.
and putting it on your website and making sure people know that it's there, and an extra 700 leads. So another great way to convert more of that traffic that's coming to your website right now into real qualified leads. Now, there's another thing that you can do that will help you convert more traffic into qualified leads, and that's understanding, who are those folks that are coming to your website that aren't converting, right, Lisa?
So buyers are on a self-guided journey. You want to make sure that you're informing them with content and information, because why are they going to go elsewhere?
Right.
You want them to find information from you. 95% of that traffic that's coming to your website is not going to convert. 5% or less might convert. So making sure that you're feeding your buyers while they're on that self-guided journey with all the content that you could feed them so that they can become a paying customer.
Right. And so the key point there is that the best B2B website out there is going to convert at maybe 5%, which means that 95% of that traffic that comes to your website, even if you're a great converting website, is going to come and go because they're on that self-guided tour that Lisa was just talking about. But we want to know who those people are, because even if they don't convert, we're all B2Bs here for the most part. Our sales cycles are long. They're going to come and go and come and go. But if we know who they are, that's an opportunity to convert them into a lead, right?
Right. So what if you could have caller ID on your website? This is going to date me a little bit, but I know when I first had caller ID and I could actually see who was calling me for the first time, how exciting that was on my phone. But we could do the same thing with our websites, right, Paul?
Right. Caller ID today is kind of used to screen out callers, right? So when somebody calls me that I don't want to talk to, I don't have to answer the phone. And they're even better now. They tell you, hey, this is a spam caller or a telemarketer. But if you could add caller ID to your website, this would tell you the businesses that are coming to your website, even if they don't fill out a form. And that's really, really powerful. Imagine being able to pass that kind of information off to your sales team. And so that's really something that was a great opportunity for you to convert more traffic.
So if your sales team is targeting their accounts that, maybe 100 accounts that they're targeting, and you're seeing these accounts hit your website, how awesome would it be to notify your sales team, hey, XYZ account just came to the website and they're looking at this page, this content, this information.
Absolutely.
It gives the salesperson an opportunity to go and contact that contact.
Right. So there's software out there today. We can talk to you more about that a little bit later on, or if we meet with you one-on-one. But you can actually convert that traffic into real live leads, pass that information on to your sales team, let your sales reps follow up with those people and turn them into new clients for your business, which is really, really powerful. So tip number 1 is all about how do you convert that traffic that you're getting today for free into more leads for your business. And if you'll follow these things that we just walked you through, I promise you, you'll get more leads and sales out of COVID right now. Now, let's take a look at tip number 2, which is a really important tip. And this one's going to cost you a little bit of money, right, Lisa?
Yeah, you're going to have to spend some money on ads.
Right. So the first one was 100% free, right? Just do a little bit of work, get some leads. This next one is about running full funnel intent-based advertising campaigns online. Now, I know you may be thinking, we even mentioned it at the beginning of the webcast, that, you know, our budgets are shrinking. It's hard to come up with budget dollars, and maybe you don't want to spend advertising dollars right now. But my guess is you're not doing trade shows right now. Can't you take some of that trade show budget and direct it towards online advertising? It's absolutely a best buy. Now, I know some of you that are watching today may be thinking to yourself, you know, I just don't want to invest in digital advertising because it hasn't worked for us before. You know, maybe you've tried it in the past. Maybe you spent $5,000 or $10,000 on LinkedIn or Google and you just didn't get any leads. Or maybe you got a lot of leads. We hear this all the time, and they just weren't really good leads. You passed them on to the sales team, and the sales team was like, well, these are kind of crappy, and they're not very good. And the reason for that is really important one, and this is, if you're going to run advertising campaigns, you got to get this point down, right, Lisa?
So this is one of my favorite sayings is, social media, digital marketing, it doesn't live in a silo. It's not a one-trick pony. You have to implement multiple strategies, omni-channel strategies, in order to convert leads into sales.
Yeah, you can't go throw $5,000 on Google and think that that's a digital marketing advertising campaign. You've got to advertise at each stage of the funnel: awareness, evaluation, and decision. And you've got to be in multiple channels, and you've got to run those campaigns at the same time if you're expecting to get good results. So what we're going to do is just quickly walk you through each stage of the funnel and what are some advertising things you need to be thinking about. The first thing that you can absolutely do, this is a no-brainer. I'm hoping that most of you that are watching the webcast today are doing some form of content marketing. You know, maybe you're blogging a couple of times a month. Hopefully you're blogging once a week. That's what we always recommend to our clients. But if you're blogging, writing a blog and putting it on your website and doing nothing, that's not going to buy you a lot right now.
It's not doing you any good.
Not at all. So what you need to do is take that blog and put it on LinkedIn, okay, and promote it in social media and sites like LinkedIn. But you don't want to stop there. You don't want to just put it on your company page. You want to promote that blog using advertising, and that's a huge opportunity. Right now, the thing that we all need the most is awareness. We need qualified awareness. We need to know, or we need the customers that could buy from us to know that we exist and know the problems that we can solve. And when we're thinking about awareness, you know, our number one goal is, you know, an exercise in memorization to communicate to our target audience, this is the problem that we solve. When you have this problem, call us because we can solve that problem for you. And so by going and writing a blog and promoting that out there in social media, you're going to help people understand the problems you can solve. But even beyond that, the beautiful thing about blogs are the article lives on your website. So you're running this ad in LinkedIn and you're promoting it to your best possible customers, but to watch the article or actually read the article, they've got to click on that link and go to your website. So it's going to drive traffic to your website. And if you've done the things we just talked about, what's going to happen?
You're going to have traffic convert into leads. 60% of our traffic that comes to our website comes from blogs. And I want to make this point, Paul, when we're thinking of the top of the funnel and we're thinking of awareness, and I said it earlier, we want to share this content with our audience. We want to be the ones that inform them rather than them going somewhere else.
That's such an important point because remember, like you said, they're on a self-guided tour, these buyers.
Right.
And if you're writing articles that are about how you solve problems and you promote those articles to those buyers and they click and they land on your website and they read your 1,000-word article, they're beginning to understand how you can solve their problems.
And
so valuable.
It's creating that reciprocity.
Right. So at the top of the funnel, the easiest thing you can do is take those blogs you're already writing and just promote those to your target audience online. But there's another thing that you can do that works really well in the awareness bucket, and that is, running campaigns to really learn more about your buyer. And we're going to walk you through a case study right here where we actually started working on this project back in January. Our plan was to launch it in middle of March, which we did. We had no idea when we were building out the strategy for this client that COVID and the lockdown was going to happen, but we wanted to really tap into their targeted customer, which in their case was a very specific type of buyer, an IT infrastructure type customer at big data centers. And we wanted to learn who they were. We wanted to grow awareness, so we wanted them to learn about our client, and we wanted to learn about their environment. And so what we did is we created a survey where we would basically take them to a landing page that had the questions that we wanted to get answered about their environment. And in exchange for that, by taking the time to fill out the survey, we paid the lead $25, Amazon gift card. And then we promoted that campaign in LinkedIn using InMail and using sponsored posts to promote it and to drive people to that landing page.
And what were the results?
So amazingly, we ran this campaign for 60 days. The lockdown happened. We launched this campaign on March 24th, right? So I can't remember, is that the first or second week?
I think that was like the second week of lockdown.
Yeah, the second week of lockdown. But we decided to do it anyways. The client was behind it. So we launched the campaign on March 24th. We ran it for 60 days. And you can see right there that we generated 469 leads in 60 days at a cost per lead of right around $30 a lead. Now, our goal was $50 a lead, so we were super excited to come in at $30 a lead, and we did 100% of this with advertising inside of LinkedIn. So those are two things you can be doing top of funnel with advertising that will generate traffic and leads for you right now. Let's go ahead and take a look at the middle of the funnel and evaluation and some things we can do there.
So you're driving traffic now down towards the middle of the funnel. They're going to start evaluating you. And this is why it's so important that you have lead magnets. You want to make sure that you have gated content and information that you put out there, because now they're coming in and they're really getting serious with wanting to know a little bit more about what you do. And so lead magnets, you could do a webinar like we're doing.
It's a great example.
You could do an ebook. You could do, a podcast.
Guides. Yeah, all kinds of opportunities there.
Right. So you want to make sure that when they're evaluating you, you are giving them, again, all the information and content that you could possibly give them.
Yeah, if you think about it, awareness is all about awareness, right? Helping people understand that you exist and the problems that you can solve. Evaluation, because those buyers are on a self-guided tour, is really all about getting those people that you've been promoting for and getting awareness, giving them an opportunity to raise their hand and say, you know what, I'm ready to learn a little bit more. I'm not ready to talk to a sales guy, but I'm ready to give you my information. It's a little bitty baby step commitment. But it now lets you know that, hey, this is a buyer that's a little bit more serious than maybe somebody that filled out a survey or visited your website. And so those are very important to have. And we want to spend money not only in awareness, but we also want to promote these mid-funnel lead magnets, right?
And one point that I want to make is once they opt in, once you give them your lead magnet and they give you their email address, you can nurture them with knowledge throughout the process to when they are ready to buy.
Right, because you got to stay top of mind.
Yes.
We can't control when a buyer is going to be ready to meet with a sales rep or when a buyer is going to be ready to buy. But what we can control is that your brand and your name is in front of them all over the place. We sometimes call it target account stalking, right? We just want to be everywhere. Wherever they are, we're there, so that when they're ready to talk to a sales rep or ready to buy, they think of you and they're ready to move forward.
We have examples of this that happen all the time. We have customers that come to us and say, hey, we've noticed that you've been dripping on us and sharing all this information and you've stayed top of mind, and so now we're ready to do business with you.
Right. So let's take a look at this example. This is the same client that we launched the awareness campaign for back on March 24th. And so in this case, we needed to have a mid-funnel or evaluation stage opportunity. So what we did is we retargeted everybody that interacted with that ad in the awareness stage. So remember, that was that $25 Amazon gift card. So if they clicked on the ad, if they landed on the landing page, or they filled out the form on the landing page, one of those three conditions caused them to see an ad promoting this mid-funnel lead magnet. And so that was step 2 of our process. And we can see the results right here worked really, really well. So this campaign, again, ran for 60 days. We got a ton of leads at the top of the funnel. But then down here, we generated over 40 leads mid-funnel. So these are really qualified leads, right, Lisa?
Right. So I'm going to point out, you had top of the funnel leads, you had middle of the funnel leads. It doesn't work in a silo. You have to constantly be figuring that out and tweaking that throughout the whole process.
Right. And our goal for this level was to generate leads at around $70 a lead. Again, we generated leads for $50 a lead. So we're getting top of the funnel leads for $30, middle of the funnel leads for $50. You know, LinkedIn and other channels are channels that we're leveraging here. People think that LinkedIn's really expensive. People think that running online ads are expensive. You know, most of our clients, especially this client, would buy leads at $50 a lead all day long. So that's an example of something that we've done mid-funnel for our clients, but we want to give you an example of something that we did ourselves to promote this event.
All right, so this is our landing page for this, Kick COVID to the Curb, and we generated, you know, several hundred leads based on what we did, just kicking COVID to the curb from this webinar. And so this is just an example of our lead magnet.
Right. So, you know, the idea was, you know, we're doing things all the time, dripping, as you mentioned, on our prospects, making them aware. We're writing blogs. We're promoting those blogs in social media. And then we came out with this mid-funnel opportunity, which is this webcast that you're watching right now. So and you can see the results.
I want to see the results.
Yeah, I know you're dying for me to share those results. Yeah. So you can see a lot of things, a lot of different channels drove results. It goes back to what we're saying, multi-channel across all the different stages of the funnel. At the bottom are the areas that we spent in advertising and marketing. And you can see that over, you know, as you mentioned, well over 100 people registered for this event. 36% of you came from our ads, okay? Right. Now you'll notice a little bit higher up, right there where Lisa's pointing, 36% of of the registrations came from a different source. And stay tuned for that because that's tip number 3. We'll be getting to that in a moment. But a good third of you watching right now came from campaigns that we ran in the mid-funnel with advertising.
Multi-channel marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's mid-funnel. What we want to do now is kind of jump into the decision stage of the funnel or bottom of the funnel. And what's going on there, Lisa?
All right, so your marketing qualified leads, your MQLs, are now ready to transfer over to your sales team. So you want to make sure that you're giving your sales team, you're arming them with ways to stand out from the crowd. So how can we do that, Paul? Well, we have an option to give them a video that they could send in an email. And this is just an example of
like Lisa's saying, the idea is once you get down to decision, the salesperson needs to become the champion in your organization, and the marketing's job really is to make them look great. And what we found is developing assets like this, we call it an ABM video, where it's a customized video that your sales rep can send out to their customer that's got their branding on it. It talks about 2 or 3 challenges that they have and how you can overcome those challenges. When that sales rep sends that to their prospect, it really makes them look good and makes them stand out over their competition, right, Lisa?
Right. And it's just another little tip or trick that you could have up your sleeve to stand out from the crowd, like you said.
Right. And so the point is, let's spend a little bit of money and build some assets that really help your sales rep stand out at the decision phase and really help them get those appointments that they're dying to have right now during COVID. Right? So let's kind of tie all of this together in tip number 2, which is how do we run campaigns, you know, multi-channel, multi-funnel, different stages of the funnel, and what kind of results can we get? So I want to go back to this case study that we were looking at earlier, and we walked you through things that we were doing top of the funnel by running that Amazon survey, things that we were doing mid-funnel by having a gated asset, and what kind of results did we see when we added it all together? Again, this was a 60-day campaign that launched on March 24th. Well, here's the results. We grew their leads on their website by almost 500%. Right? So it's super happy, you know, campaign that launched right in the middle of COVID. You know, they were getting about 100 leads every 60 days or 30 leads a month. In that same previous or the following period where we're running these campaigns, we generate, you know, 566 leads for them. And it's all because we're not in a silo, like you said before. We're not being a one-trick pony, but we're running campaigns across all the different channels and all the different stages of the funnel.
Right. And COVID's not a time to shut down and not market. Of course, we want to be sensitive to what's going on and sensitive to, have empathy. But it's not a time to not market.
Right. No, if anything, right now, I would double down on your advertising dollars because so many of your competitors, based on the interviews that we did, are, like we said, cutting their budgets. They're not spending any money online. This is a tremendous opportunity for you to build a fat pipeline of prospects that you can be working now so that when the economy gets back to normal, which it eventually will, it may be a next normal or whatever they're going to call it, life is going to go on, and you owe it to your business to have a big old fat pipeline of opportunity ready to rock and roll, right? Okay, so we've covered 2 of the tips. Tip number 1, let's convert more of the traffic you're getting for free today. Tip number 2, let's spend some money on advertising. Let's generate leads. Let's get our sales reps busy. And then tip number 3 is really all about...
favorite.
Yeah.
All right, it's leveraging digital selling for exponential growth. So back in the day, we used to show up at network marketing meetings
At 6:30 in the morning.
with, coffee in hand and 2 suitcases full of brochures and material. And we were meeting with clients and customers in person, face to face. This was way before digital existed. And you were building a relationship with them. It's the same thing. You want to build that relationship with them online. You want to build connections. You want to share content, and you want to make sure that you're engaging with your audience. And so how does this look, Paul? What does this look like?
Well, the key thing here is, and I think you're driving a great point home, and that is that the activities that work in today's world are the same activities that have worked in the past, but we have to do them online. We have to do them in a digital way because today's modern buyer is expecting your sales team to act in a modern selling way. And so we've got to engage in digital selling. And one of the big challenges that are out there is that sales reps, when you just go check out their LinkedIn profile page and ask yourself the question, does their profile page look like they're looking for their next job, or are they a resource to help solve problems for your prospects? And my guess is you're going to find a lot of them looking like they're trying to find their next job, right?
Right. And I do want to point out something, how important it is to build connections. I know for me, and I'm sure for you too, we have thousands of connections on LinkedIn. We get spammed a lot.
Right.
People who really want to get to know me are the people that I engage with. Is that the
That's
same
absolutely
for you?
right. So let's walk you through, actually, it's a great segue, Lisa, into a process that we teach our clients. Now, digital selling is a much bigger umbrella than what we're going to have time to talk about in today's webcast, but this is a really effective thing that if you can at least teach your sales reps to do what we call a 3x5 digital selling, you're going to be moving them in the right direction. And the first thing they want to do, these are 3 things you want them to do 5 days a week. So the business days of every week. The first thing you want them to do is reach out and make connections, just like you were talking about, Lisa, to their dream 50, 100, whatever those targeted logos they're trying to crack this year. Tell them that they need to have 5 to 10 contacts for each one of those logos. And then every day they need to be reaching out and trying to build connections with at least 5 people. And then the next thing you want them to do is send out direct messages to 5 different people. So they're going out and they're building connections with new people every day, but they already have connections. And every day, have them reach out to 5 people and send them a direct message. Now, just like you said, Lisa, should they be like trying to hustle and get an appointment? What should they be doing?
What about sharing some content?
There you
maybe
go.
a blog article, or maybe an ebook or something that you've written or that your company has just generated.
Right. It's not about being a pushy used car salesman, right? It's about being a resource. It's about helping that buyer that's on that self-guided journey.
Guide along the journey.
Understand how you can solve problems for them. So get them to reach out to 5 people every day, and then finally have them go and look for their Dream 100 that they're already connected to that are posting things in social media, and have them engage with 5 posts a day. which would be at the very minimum liking that post, sharing that post, or commenting on that post.
I love this idea, Paul. For one, it's free.
Right.
And for
Absolutely.
two, you could just spend 30 minutes a day doing this.
Max, right?
Max.
Maybe 30 minutes a day.
And if your sales reps were really hungry and aggressive, you spend 30 minutes at the beginning of the day and 30 minutes at the end of the day.
And double it.
And
right?
double it.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, if you can get your sales reps to do this 3x5 thing one time a day, or maybe twice a day, in 90 days from now, they're going to have all kinds of opportunities to work on. And let us validate that with a real life example. And this is our example, right, Lisa?
Right. So Paul and I organically reached out. We created an event on LinkedIn, and we reached out to our personal connections, first connections, second connections, and invited them to the LinkedIn event. Organically, we had 72 registered participants from us reaching out.
Right.
And what was the conversion rate?
32%. So 32% of the people that Lisa and I personally invited through LinkedIn actually registered for this event. Now, we have well over 100 people that registered, so this is just one part of what we did. But this would not have worked if we weren't running the 3x5 campaign that we just walked you through, where every day we're kind of working and investing inside of LinkedIn, building relationships, nurturing with knowledge. And the reason, that we had this kind of success was because of that effort that we'd put beforehand. And I promise you, every marketer that's watching this webcast would drool over a 32% conversion rate. That's the value that your sales reps can bring to the table if they'll engage in digital selling, right? Yep. So let me show you how this kind of works. So, step one, as Lisa mentioned, we created an event in LinkedIn. This is a relatively new feature. It's been around for not quite a year. But you can set up an event, and then once you have that event, it'll allow you to very easily reach out to people in your network and invite them to the event. So you can do a search and find the right people that you want to reach out to and send them an invitation. It shows up in their notifications. But you don't want to stop there. The next thing that we did is we actually personally sent direct messages to the same audience, encouraging them to join this event today. And I'm guessing many of you, probably watching right now, got one of those direct messages from Lisa and me. But we don't want to stop there either. We've got one third step here, and that is we want to leverage marketing automation and actually send out emails that look like they're coming from Lisa and me, but actually came from our marketing automation platform with basically the same message. Hey, we've got this live event. We'd like you to come to this live event.
Right.
And as a result of that, 72 of you watching today came, and it cost us absolutely nothing.
$0. 72, 30%, 32% conversion rate.
Right. And 36% of our total registrations, by the way, came from this. That was that third thing I told you to hold on for that we'd talk about a little bit later on. Now, if you're going to engage in digital selling, it is important that you train your sales reps to understand what a lead looks like. Because remember, Lisa mentioned when they're sending out those direct messages every day, it's not to hustle and be a used car salesman, but rather the idea is to, share, nurture with knowledge, give them useful information. And if you do those things the right way, this is just a couple of examples of leads we've gotten recently. The leads are going to come to you, right? We can't control when they're ready to buy, but if you're doing the blocking and tackling the way we've described, when they're ready to buy, they're going to reach out and connect with you.
And I call this demand generation. So you're creating all the content, you're creating all the value, and they're going to start demanding that
Hey, I think Lisa can solve my problem because Lisa's in my inbox every day, or I'm seeing Lisa, or she's helping me, and I've got a need, so I'm ready to talk to Lisa.
Right. And by doing that, you're creating thought leadership, you're creating empathy, you're creating authority, and you're providing the content. I'm going to just keep reiterating this, that your buyers are wanting to read on that self-guided journey.
Right. So we've given you 3 big tips today, right? Things that you can do right now during COVID to help your business, to get your marketing back on track. And so as we kind of start landing the plane here and talking about where do we go from here, I really just want you to ask yourself the question, where do you need the most help? Like what area of these 3 tips would benefit you the most. Maybe it's number one. Maybe you feel like you've got a beautiful website, but you're getting nowhere near a 5% conversion rate. And my guess is if you've got a contact us button on your website, that's probably much, much less, right? Maybe you're not converting enough of that traffic, so maybe that's you. Or maybe you're more like tip number 2, where you've tried some advertising in the past and it just didn't work. Or maybe you've never promoted anything on LinkedIn and now's the time to get out there and generate leads. Maybe your business can benefit from generating leads for $30 or $50 a lead. We know that we can, and that our clients certainly can benefit from that. Or maybe you feel like number 3, man, I need to get my sales reps engaged in digital selling. That's a free service, basically. I just need to train them to do it the right way. All of these things can work right now. I just encourage you to be thinking about which one of these, make a short list, right? Which one of these should you work on this week or next week? And we've got some good news because we want to help you with that, right, Lisa?
So if you schedule a 20 minutes, it's not that long, complimentary planning meeting with me, we're going to take you through one of those, whatever one you need the most. So if you need to convert more traffic, let me take a look at your website and do a website analysis. If you need to run a full funnel marketing campaign, let me figure out how to do help you do a target analysis and show you which buyers are actually out there ready for you to convert into leads. And if you need digital selling help, let me look at your sales reps' profiles and pages and give you some tips and tricks to optimize them. This is 20 minutes. My calendar link is in the chat, and you can schedule it today.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we've talked about 3 things you can be doing right now. My recommendation isn't try to do all 3 things at once, but try to do one of these things and let Lisa and all of our experience kind of point you in the right direction. Because all of these things are very able to, you can leverage any one of these to get more leads right now, but why not leverage somebody like Lisa that has all the experience that we have at Vendy? Really think about, okay, you want to do number 1, here's something that you can do. You need to add this call to action to your website. You want to do number 2, here's how many buyers are out there in LinkedIn, that are your perfect buyer, that are looking for people just like you. So 20 minutes, guys. Won't take any time at all. I'm guessing these are virtual meetings, right, Lisa?
Right. So we're going to set up a Zoom call.
Absolutely.
So again, my link to my calendar is in the chat. All you have to do is click on that and schedule something out, and you should see availability. And the other thing I want to point out to you is the link to the resources that we promised you at the beginning, the free resources. That is also in the chat. So you want to make sure you go grab those free resources. And that was just for attending the live webinar.
Yeah, so if you made it to the very end, you're hearing us say this right now, those links are going to be there for you. I highly encourage you to click the link to schedule an appointment with Lisa. As we mentioned, there are over 100 people registered for this event. Those appointments are going to go pretty quick. We'll do everything we can to get in front of everybody. I do know some of you are probably going to ask questions about, can you get a copy of these slides? We're not going to make the slides available, but we are going to make the replay available. So you'll be able to get a link to the replay coming up. But what we want to do now is just transition into a time of questions. We asked at the very beginning that you go ahead and chat your questions in or your comments in as we go through this. But as we get to the end here, we'd love to kind of hear from you. We want to be good stewards of everybody's time. If you need to run now, feel free to do that. But, we're here to help you kick COVID to the curb. And if we can answer some questions that will help you right now, we want to open it up and answer those questions for you.
Okay, so people want T-shirts. Believe it or not.
People want T-shirts. We are going to give you T-shirts. We have hundreds of dollars worth of T-shirts. We'll be happy to get those out to you.
Okay, so somebody really wants to hear more about the software that we have out there to figure out who's coming to our website, kind of like the caller ID.
Yeah, there's a lot of software. There's maybe 3 or 4 out there. We have our own proprietary tool. You might do a Google search for anonymous website visitor software. That might help you find a few of them that are out there.
Or we can help you.
Yeah, or meet with Lisa. She can show you how ours works. It's really affordable. I think ours is like $300 a month or something like that. I don't even remember. But it does a lot of very cool things, like tell you all the people that are coming to your website, how many times they've come to your website. It allows you to build lists. So maybe you've got your target account list, and every time that company shows up on your website, it can alert somebody in sales. So it's a great way, as we mentioned, to convert your anonymous traffic into leads.
Okay, so Amy asks, how much content promo copy do you recommend on a landing page? That seems to be something my team consistently debates. Some say less is best, and some say more helps with SEO. Before you answer, Paul, I just want to say,
Sure, yeah.
keep it at a 5th grade level as far as the way that you're speaking to your audience. And we really believe in simple, easy, and not a lot of jargon.
Right. So a couple of things. Number one, we do think brevity is key, right? You need to kind of burn the calories so your clients don't have to burn the calories. So we want to make it really plain and simple and communicate those 3 things. What do you do? What's in it for me? How do I take the next step? Not only are those great questions to answer on your homepage, those are great questions to answer on your landing page. From an SEO perspective, in my mind, landing pages aren't designed for SEO. Landing pages are designed for conversion. Conversion always trumps SEO. Your website needs to be optimized for search to get that traffic in the front door, but then you have calls to action on your site to drive them to the landing page, and then the landing page job is to get them to convert. And just to give you a rule of thumb, you want 30% of the traffic that makes it to your landing page to actually convert. And if you're getting less than 30%, there's something wrong with the messaging going on there. Any other questions?
Okay, so Alex asks, what is your approach to the new conversions on LinkedIn? How blunt in terms of selling do you recommend the approach? An example intro message would be interesting to see.
Yeah, the example would probably be great to meet with Lisa because she can show you examples of campaigns that we've run for ourselves and examples of campaigns that we've run for other clients. And here's the key to advertising on LinkedIn. We've tried long copy, we've tried short copy. Sometimes longer copy works. It depends on the offer. The most important thing that you can do when advertising on LinkedIn is to get that audience right and not try to get it so tight that your cost per 1,000 impressions is going to make it not profitable for you. But you got to get that audience right. Targeting around function seems to work really, really well. The next thing that you really want to focus on is getting that headline right, because the headline's job is to sell the ad's job is to sell the offer. And so whatever that takes in terms of copy, you're just going to have to test it and play with it. Whenever we launch a campaign for a client, we always test A/B variations. We test headline, we test long and short form copy, and we test the call to action until we find what works for that particular client.
So it looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulties dropping the links to my calendar as well as the link to the resources into the chat. So we want to make sure and let you know, we will email everybody that link. So if you signed up for the webinar, the webcast, we have your email address and we will send out those links to your email.
Right. And if you meet with Lisa, we'll give you a t-shirt.
Okay. I do have a couple more questions, Paul. So let me see here. Primero Edge asks, does your software include automation functionality?
So if they're talking about the software for identifying anonymous visitors, there is some automation that's built into it, like automatically notifying a salesperson. So you can create a target account list for each of your sales reps, and then if somebody comes to your website from that list, then that particular sales rep can get notified. One thing we didn't have time to talk about today, though, is just the whole idea of marketing automation. And there's a lot of great software tools out there to help B2Bs with marketing automation. And marketing automation is critical. We showed you in our example of getting people to come to today's event. The third thing that we did, was actually send you an email that looked like it came from Lisa and me. Really, that just came through our marketing automation platform. We've got a great platform that we'd be happy to talk to you about. We can also advise you on other ones that are out there that might be the right fit for you.
All right. So Bill asked, how do you handle a multi-step, multi-person sales process?
So, Bill, if I'm understanding your question, so a multi-step sales process makes me think that, before a sales rep is actually quoting something, there must be some steps in the, before that happens. And, we'd have to understand your process a little bit better. But, it always starts with, getting people that you're trying to reach that don't know that you exist and the problems that you can solve for them. becoming aware that you exist and the problems that you solve, and then clearly communicating what is the next step that they need to take. And whatever that next step is needs to be kind of the first step in your process. And then from there, the technology's out there today that, it's super easy to retarget those visitors or those leads all the way through the process. So, step one is let's build awareness and get people aware that you exist. And then everybody that clicks on that ad, now you present them an offer that's the mid-funnel or whatever that next step is. And then everybody that clicks and engages in that, you send them another ad or offer that moves them through the funnel. So hopefully that helps. If not, Bill, meet with Lisa. She'll be happy to give you some specifics there.
Okay, so Michael asked, does your software work behind secured pages, such as pages that registration requires?
So the software, we're talking about the anonymous visitor software. It's just a script that you put on your website. So if you're able to put like Google Analytics on that page, this software would work too.
Okay, so I'm not seeing any more questions.
Those are great questions, though. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
And that shows that you were all paying attention and had a lot of good questions today. So thank you for your time. It's been really fun. This was our first, as we said, virtual Lunch and Learn. We love doing Lunch and Learns. We'll be doing more of these in the future. We were already talking about maybe doing one in October. But, I just want to land the plane and say, hey, if one of those three areas you feel like you can take advantage of and really get some leads right now so that you can get your marketing back on track, that we can kick COVID to the curb and start generating some leads, this week or next month, please invest the 20 minutes to meet with Lisa. She'll be happy to come and help you kind of think about what is the next thing I need to do to take advantage of one of those tips. So with that, thanks a lot, guys.
Thank you.
Appreciate your
We appreciate
time.
it.